Hey guys, Elizabeth Nader here with you again tonight on the Nader Narrative. We are all about bringing you our great candidates for November 2nd so you can get to know who they are and support them. Tonight is no different. From District 17, running for the 2 assembly seats, we have Katherine Barrier and Peter Gabra. Katherine and Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having
us. Excited to talk to you guys. We want everyone to get to know who you are, why you're running, and so we can get people excited about your candidacy. So let's do a little background, a little intro. I'm going to start with you, Katherine. You've got a long resume. We only have, 15, 20 minutes, but you've got to sum up all this experience you've had. It really makes you an unusual person. Tell people what your background is and why you are running.
Did you speak to me? We cut out for a moment. Were you talking with me?
Yep. Yes, let everybody know your background and why you are running.
I'm Katherine Barrier, and I have actually been an elected official at the local level in Franklin, where I live. And now I'm running for assembly. This is not the first time I've run for assembly, but it's the first time I've run since 2005. And I have an extensive background, not only in government there, but I've also worked in education primarily for the past 30 years. I've taught at the college level, English composition and English as a second language. I've also had a real estate career. For 14 years in Central Jersey, I was a real estate agent, so I got to know people in the area and some of the needs through that. I've also worked in many other kinds of companies, working as administrative secretary and in publishing for a while in different kinds of companies that make different products and things of that nature, pharmaceuticals in France when I lived in France. So I have a wide variety and background that I think gives me business experience and also education experience, as well as government experience. And I think all of that will serve me well in the assembly as I represent the people of the 17th, should they choose me as one of their assembly members.
So why run now? What is really your passion about doing this?
Well, actually, what really led me to run now is the fact that when we see what has happened in the past 18 months and the way things have been handled, and the lawlessness, the increase in lawlessness, and where I saw videos down in Trenton where the governing officials there and everything were not even stopping the rioters. The last year, we've seen prisoners released early, which is a danger to all of us. We've seen the seniors put into nursing homes and other facilities with COVID when there were other options that could have saved lives. And the assembly candidates that I'm running against, they seem to be rubber stampers for everything that Murphy puts forth. And therefore, how are they really serving the people? And I said, I have to do something here. I have to step up. But when Murphy actually said last year that the Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, was above his pay grade, that was the thing that broke the camel's back for me. I said, I can't take this anymore. We're supposed to have a government that's for and by and of the people. And Murphy is leading us in a very wrong direction. And as I said, the assembly candidates that I'm running against, they seem to be voting almost without, either they abstain because they don't want to take a stand, or they just rubber stamp what he's doing. I'm not about that. I'm about good government. I'm a Republican, and I'm not ashamed to be a Republican, but I'm not about party politics. I'm about doing what's good for the people. That's what I did when I was a local candidate and a councilwoman at large in Franklin, and that's what I would do in the assembly if it voted in.
I love it, Katherine. I love your passion. It's great. Peter, you've got a great story as well. Share with us your background and why you're running.
Oh, absolutely, Liz. And again, thank you so much for having us on tonight and giving us the opportunity to kind of get the word out. Yeah. So I am Jersey born and bred, but a first generation immigrant. So my parents came over from Egypt, and I was born here. They're Coptic Orthodox Christians, as am I. So when they came from Egypt, they had to live in a society that was a bit extremely oppressive towards those who try to practice their faith, especially for us Coptic Christians. They left a society that wouldn't allow them to work the types of jobs that they were pursuing. That would put limitations on when they can worship and how. And even when we were able to worship, we found ourselves in situations where, we've had countless stories come up in the news where, people would come and bomb churches and, attack us in the streets and kidnap kids. So they came here looking for a better life to build for us, essentially. And when they came here, they kind of imparted that on us, the hard work ethic, the ability that they knew that by me coming here, I'd be able to do the things that they never could. Nobody would, at least for what we used to believe, that nobody would tell us how to worship our faith, how to practice our creed, how to run our own business, what kind of even ownership properties, ownership rights are restricted in Egypt. And then, I built off what they taught me: hard work, no handouts, put your eye on the ball and put your faith in God. And I was lucky to grow up here, go to Rutgers, New Brunswick, and then I went to Fordham Law School, and now I practice law at Habba and Associates with a couple of excellent attorneys. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I can hear the passion and the why there. And I suspect if we were to ask your parents, they may say to us, we've seen this movie before. We're heading in a direction that seems probably all too familiar to them. And I think that's a cautionary tale. Katherine, when you talk about Murphy's disregard for our rights, that's something that is a slippery slope. In the past, they would hide the disregard. Now it's just out in the open. How are we seeing that impact us the most as citizens of New Jersey?
Well, I think that it's been with the mandates to stay home, the lockdowns, the masking, etc. Certainly when all this happened, it was justified for a while because we didn't know what we were dealing with. We were concerned. Everybody wanted to be safe. But since then, he has definitely, in my opinion, overstepped what is absolutely necessary to give us safety. And it seems like it has become a different agenda, one of stripping us of our freedoms rather than of really protecting, because there's a lot of things out there that are very controversial to what he states is the way things are. And he doesn't seem to take those into consideration at all. In addition to that, we have the new law, the critical race theory that was passed, and different sexual instruction, even for kindergartens, that are now being mandated in our schools. This is just not what state government should be doing. And this is attacking our children. And many parents are very, very upset about these kinds of things. And certainly, hopefully, nobody in New Jersey wants to be racist. But when you have something like this critical race theory, it's like having an open wound. And if you keep touching it and if you keep coming back to it, it's never going to heal. Critical race theory is just like that. If you keep talking about racism all the time, it's going to maintain it. It's not going to have it disappear. So I think it's a total wrong approach. And I think that's hurting us an awful lot. And there are many other things as well, but I'll give Peter a chance to talk about some of the things.
There's so many things, right?
Exactly.
These are all incredible points. Peter, as I hear her list those, and there are others as well, you start to see almost an agenda arising. And I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. And if I were, I would need some new ones because they're all coming to pass, unfortunately. But, as you look at that and you say, what is the overall agenda here? Do you kind of feel like, Peter, people need to wake up? Do you sense that all of these things are happening in a sort of concentrated, sort of orchestrated way? What do you want to say to people about that?
Well, absolutely, Liz. And it's a top-down approach. So we're seeing it this week from the federal level, right? You have Joe Biden passing laws that are entirely unconstitutional. It's an overreach from what the federal government, especially the executive branch, is supposed to do, which is to merely enforce a law. And they've stepped into the shoes of Congress and putting a mandate with 100 employees or more, relying on this 40-year-old tenuous law that Richard Nixon relied on one time, right? And then it flows down to New Jersey, the way Phil Murphy's been passing laws. And like Katherine was saying earlier, Joe Egan, Joe Danielson, all they're doing is rubber stamping these rules and these regulations. And as a result of them, what do we see? It's like what you're saying. People have to stand up because 33% of businesses in New Jersey have closed. New Jersey remains one of the highest states, most expensive states to live in today. We're bordering, if not already surpassing California. And you can see what they're trying to do to their governor. It's a lot of it also comes down to schooling. So some of the sex ed stuff that Katherine was referencing, that a lot of that was passed in the middle of the pandemic when people were more paying attention to how am I going to get food? Is there going to be enough toilet paper, right?
Yeah, right.
And then you're passing laws where you can essentially push into the realms of inappropriate to the sex ed when it comes to kindergarteners and fourth graders, fifth graders, which is one of the big things that our community is kind of standing up against. Not the idea, it's not an issue of tolerance. I think everybody should be free to live the way that they want to live, be happy. I will fight for your right to pursue any way you want to live. But the idea of teaching it to kindergartners and first grade and second grade and confusing them and not letting that conversation take place at the dinner table as opposed to the classroom is inexplicable. So yes, I don't know if it's a conspiracy. I'll leave that to minds greater than mine. But what I will say, it is a attempt to centralize power, because once you pass these edicts, these laws, wherever else you're going to go with it, it makes it easier in the future. You've created a dangerous precedent. And that's what we're standing up here today. When we're running, we're saying, you know what? The government has its role. You know, nobody wants to hear the government come say, we're here to help, right?
No. And, you know, Peter, as a lawyer, you know how scary precedents can be. The wrong precedents can be very, very scary. Katherine, you talk about the Democrats and the people you're running against. They're leaving votes in committee sometime. They're not showing up. They're just rubber stamping. I often wonder now, as people are waking up, if they really even understand how our state government is supposed to work. Right now, it feels like we have one person in control. Where is the balance? Normally, we even have some Democrats who are willing to engage in some form of conversation and some form of reaching across the aisle. It seems we have none of that right now. Doesn't it feel that way?
Yes, it does feel that way. I don't think we do have a serious debates about issues, and I think we need to if we're going to have good government. I think our democracy is also being threatened in the sense that we have people who just stay in the legislature for decades, like one of our opponents.
Yes.
He's been there for 20 years now. And, you know, it's like, how can you have good democracy and good input when people are just making careers out of these kinds of things instead of coming and serving the way the government was set up, to come and serve for a few terms and then go back to your life and let other people serve. I think that's part of the democratic process, and we don't have that right now with a lot of the situations. So I think that's one of the problems that we have as far as losing the democracy. Then we have all kinds of concerns about voting and things like that took place last year, and you know, we have it a little bit better this year. There's different ways to vote, but a lot of people are concerned there aren't enough poll workers, so we're going to have all these early days of being able to vote and everything, but is there going to be the oversight that is necessary? I mean, these are all different issues, but they're all issues that add to a wearing away of our democracy and the way that our government was set up. And we have a wonderful, unique kind of government, but if we don't safeguard it, even as Benjamin Franklin was asked when he came out of the, you know, Independence Hall in 1787, and they said, what kind of a government have you given us? And he said, a republic if you can keep it. Well, we have to get back to trying to keep it, because it's been slipping away. And that was one of the reasons that I had to say, I have to do something. I have some experience in government at the local level. I did run before for assembly, and I just need to step up and do something rather than do nothing and just stay home. And that's why I want to run, because I want good government for the state of New Jersey and for the people in the 17th district.
Well, that's exactly what our founders intended, for people like you, like Peter, like James, who's running with you guys for Senate, to say, you know what? I think I can do something here for a limited amount of time. Let me step out of my life, step into public service. And that was what was intended. It was never a career. And we know what we get from career politicians. Katherine, someone with your background and your intelligence and your ability to see solutions, it's exactly what we need. Peter, let's talk about the district for a little bit. District 17, just in case anyone listening doesn't know, District 17 encompasses Franklin Township, Milltown, New Brunswick, North Brunswick, and Piscataway, right? I got it all? As you are talking to people in your district, your future constituents, as you're door knocking, I'm sure you guys have already been working so hard. What are they saying to you? Because the most important thing is not really what the three of us say. It's what the constituents say, which I'm going to guess is similar. But you tell us, what are they saying to you?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're nervous. There's no doubt about it. When it comes to looking forward from November onward, a lot of people are still thinking today, well, am I going to have a job? Is my business going to close down because either one, I can't keep up with some ridiculous mandate that's going to come up tomorrow, or two, are there going to be new types of lockdowns or new types of regulations that keep people at home and away from, you know, coming and consuming and purchasing regularly like everyone else. One of the big things too that we've had is, you know, people have been nervous too about what their kids are going to be learning in school. Are they going to go there and get a real education, or is it going to be, well, here's my ideology, you better learn it, you better love it, or else, and that really was what it boils down to. I mean, people want more than anything to be free, right? They want to be able to make their own choices, to pursue their own dreams, provide for their families, and then come home. I don't need Uncle Sam telling me well, this is what you would actually believe now, and this is the type of business you should be running. It's crazy. People don't want that, and I do think we're seeing a lot of interest coming in from Piscataway residents. I spoke to a substitute teacher the other day. One of the big things that came down the line is the mask mandate for kids. And she deals with a lot of special ed students. And she was talking to me about how, these kids are experiencing real anxiety by the idea of, having to keep the mask on, not being able to take it off. I mean, the law itself is indiscriminate. It doesn't care much for exceptions. To get one is extremely difficult. So kids with special needs, kids who are struggling to even be in school in the first place, are even more uncomfortable with that scenario. The anxiety is what's killing them. So, obviously, look, that decision should have been one that was left to local districts, parents, not a statewide automatic swipe, no matter where you live, no matter what. I mean, there are townships voting, like you're saying, we don't need this mandate. Our rate of transmissions are low. If you look at the science and look at the way that it's presented, we know that child-to-child transmission is on the low end, and we know that fatalities are lower too for kids. So you have to weigh out, just like I do at work, pros and cons. Yes, you want to keep kids safe, absolutely. If a parent wants to put a mask on their kid, by all means, please. But if we're going to say, well, everybody has to take it, and we're going to deprive kids of the ability to socialize and interact with one another in a normal way, go to gym class and you can't even play kickball because you're about to faint before you get to first base. I mean, it's too much. So yes, people want change. The idea and the goal is to get as many people as possible to come out and vote for their better interests.
They need to vote. And you know what, Katherine, Peter brings up such a good point with this whole mask debacle, and it has turned into a debacle. You wonder where the science is and where has critical thinking gone. I'm concerned about our children are not being taught to critically think, and I wonder if some adults have lost that ability as well. But Katherine, aren't you impressed by the parents that are standing up? And I'm sure you guys have seen that in your district, the Board of Education meetings. This gives me a lot of hope. What do you say about that?
Oh, it definitely does. I think that's the silver lining that I see in everything that happened since last year. It is leading people to understand the value of actually going out and voting, because the people that get into power actually do affect their lives on a day-to-day basis. And I think people were starting to forget that. And I think that this is starting to make them realize, in a negative way, but still in a way that maybe is more effective to get them to act than a positive way would be. And it's making them actually step up and do something and organize and run for school boards, where before they couldn't find people to even run on school boards. So this is, I think, adding to the positiveness of the democratic process, not Democrat as opposed to Republican, but the democratic process. And I think that is very important. And I am also very encouraged by that. Definitely. I think that's great.
I am so encouraged by that. And I think people have finally realized they didn't necessarily want to have to get involved. And I can understand that. But until we are on the safer side of all of this, it's going to take all of us mothers, fathers, concerned citizens to finally stand up like you guys are doing and saying, if I don't get involved, we're going to lose what we have really taken for granted. And, if we lose it here, there's no place to go. People leave all over this world. They did it from Egypt, Peter, to come to America because of what it stood for, not perfection, but opportunity and freedom. And there's nowhere for us to go. So waking up is really critical. So we want everyone's help to get you guys into office, even if they're not in District 17. I think there is a call throughout the state here for all of us to support great candidates. So I want you guys to kind of give your last pitch to your future constituents, and in doing so, also tell them how they can reach out to your campaign, how they can donate, how they can volunteer, all of that information. Peter, I'll let you go first.
Absolutely. Thank you, Liz. And you pointed out one of the biggest points I wanted to touch upon. The idea that if we lose what we have here, there really is nowhere else to go to. And Ronald Reagan brought this up in his speech in the 1960s. People all across the world look to America, and they come here because they see something that they can't get in their own home country. And then they come here and they have that stripped away by force bent on taking away your rights, your liberties, your ability to choose. Conservatism is about one thing: freedom. It really is. It comes down to each independent person coming to see what works best for my family and how can we get there. And in New Jersey, it's no different. I'm a lifelong New Jersey resident. I've grown up in South River, saw it all come down, and I love the state. I don't think there's any state like ours in the country, to be honest. And we can't lose what we have here, and we can make it better. You know, a lot of people think, well, I'm in New Jersey, there's nothing else I can do. We're voting blue every time. And that's not true. We can change the tide if enough of us come out, if enough of us come and support each other, because, you know, there are a lot of red-blooded conservatives and independents. I mean, it's not all about party.
Yeah.
And look, if you guys want to support us, then please visit our website, makenjsafeagain.org. Over there, you can donate, you can volunteer, you can give us comments, questions, you know, any issues you want to see us address. But we're here for you. We're excited to run for you, and we're very excited to be your next candidate.
I love it. Peter. Katherine, I'm going to let you have the last word, and I'm going to pronounce your name correctly this time. Barrier, which is so much better than the way I said it. I'm sorry, I forgot my French for a moment. Katherine, tell people why it's important for them to support you guys. Give one last pitch here to your future constituents.
Well, I think it's important that people come out and support us if they are not happy with what they've had, because, and this is not original, but it's very true. If you keep voting for the same people, you're going to get the same kind of things. And if people have not seen that the people that have been put in power for the past year or year and a half or more have been going, if they think they're going in the right direction, then maybe we're not the people for them to vote for. But if they think that there needs to be real change, they need to make a change and make sure that they come out and vote for us, and that they come out and get involved the way that they are, but also in getting good candidates in who can make the decisions that will affect their lives in a more positive way. So I would ask people to please come out and volunteer to help us with door to door. We still have 50 days, I believe it is, of the campaign to go. We have events. I have some events coming up that are Barrier for Assembly, but it's all, we all pull things together and everything. But we have a luau and a pig roast that's coming up on September 25th. And I also have a fundraiser dinner at the Spain Inn in Piscataway on October 6th from 7 to 9. All that information is on the website that I have. It's www.katherinebarrier4newjersey.com. And so if the people want to come into those and help us that way, that would be great. We can use phone bank volunteers, or just, if you don't have time to do any of those things, please just talk to your friends, your neighbors. Yeah. If you know anybody that are in the towns where we live, please make sure that you talk to them. If you like what we've said, if you have the same values that we do and you want to see positive changes, please talk to people. Get them to come out to vote, especially those who maybe don't usually vote. Yeah. Because we need every vote in order to win, so that we can do what's right for all of us.
That is absolutely true. And don't forget to donate, guys. It takes money to win campaigns.
That's true.
We are winning hearts and minds, and it always takes money. That's all right. We can say that. So donate, donate, donate. Well, you guys are patriots. You're exactly what we need to run. And District 17 will be absolutely blessed to have both of you. So I thank you so much, you guys, for coming on. Katherine and Peter, we're going to be cheering you on.
You're far too kind, Liz. Thank you so much for having us on here. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Liz.
You are amazing, and we look forward to watching your show next time it comes on.
Well,
yeah, we appreciate so much your having us on and everything you do. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, you can watch tomorrow night. So to my audience, James Abate, who's running for Senate in District 17, the third part of this team, he will be on tomorrow night live at 7. So guys, he's a great guy. So guys, thank you so much. Appreciate you being here. And to my audience, guys, we'll see you tomorrow night. Have a good night.
Okay. Good night, Elizabeth.